how's it going? I'm doing great up here in the mountains of Colombia, overlooking the Medellin Valley. This is Santa Elena. Here we have a climate which is a cross between the rainforest like we saw in Iquitos and a more temperate climate, similar to where I live in New York State. I'm gonna flip this camera around. There's a lot of really cool scenery around here, great plants. I think it's going to be more interesting than looking at my face the whole time. So, what I've been doing, as you may recall from my last post, I did a San Pedro cactus and a Temazcal, which is a Lakota sweat lodge ceremony. And then just last night I had my first of 3 Ayahuasca ceremonies. My next one is tonight. So I'm recording this video log to keep you guys updated if you want to know. Otherwise, it's just for my own sake, just to remember this by. If you guys want to watch it, you know, I appreciate it. So the San Pedro, we'll start with that. The ceremony around here, the ceremonies, there's a fire in the middle of the Maloca, and it's a bit different in terms of the songs that they have. The customs is a little more interactive. You know, we're invited to sing along during the San Pedro ceremony. The Ayahuasca ceremonies are a bit more like they are in Iquitos, but also a bit different along those same lines. So the San Pedro, the way we took it was in a powder form. We put that in our mouth and then we wash it down with a tea, which was also made with the San Pedro. Also wasn't exactly the most pleasant thing to taste, but definitely better than the ayahuasca. These, by the way, are the Temazcal, so I'll tell you about that in a minute. And of course, here's the San Pedro. I took a picture near here of myself. So the San Pedro, it was different. There were a lot of similarities to the ayahuasca teepee, but it's a lot milder. You know, some people like San Pedro. It's kind of like more masculine as opposed to the feminine ayahuasca. San Pedro actually means the father. Wait, no, it means Saint Peter, who supposedly held the keys to heaven. Guess I got to work on my Spanish, but yeah. So it was. When I was taking it, I felt very dizzy, which I think has to do with the things that I'm working through. My San Pedro ceremony, I think a lot of it was processing what happened during my last ayahuasca ceremony. So I kind of went through a lot of those things in my head. I didn't see a lot. Oh, sorry about that finger there. It was mostly just thoughts and feelings. But the San Pedro, it makes you feel. I felt lightheaded, especially in the morning after I took it again. Some other people saw some interesting things. One guy said the flowers were talking to him, which is the kind of experience I've wanted to have for a while, but maybe next time. But for me, it was kind of difficult, unfortunately, but necessary. Yeah, it was just me. I mean, two main things that I worked through. Something with my mother, because I've been kind of thinking about this a lot. This belief of mine that has something repressed also. Also with my roommate, we've had kind of a rocky relationship in some ways, and I've been trying to work that out. So, I mean, really, I've just been experiencing a lot of desires to reach out to different people and just basically talk about things that maybe I didn't feel comfortable talking about, or that I just wasn't just assertive enough to actually mention. So I'm definitely working through some of this stuff. These are the structures around here, by the way. If this you could get to run the sun, these are the nature of the buildings here. So the San Pedro, you know, I'm looking forward to the next ceremony. I think it might go better. That was my first one, and especially after the ayahuasca, I've been coming to a lot of breakthroughs through that, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Things got even more powerful during the Temazcal ceremony. Huachuma, or San Pedro, lasts for a long time. It lasts like 8 to 12 hours. So pretty much the whole night we were up with it. Then in the morning, as it started to wear off, we got into the sweat lodge, and that's really intense. It gets really hot in there, and I've had some issues with claustrophobia, so at first I sort of felt like I was going to freak out a little bit, but I was able to calm myself. And the thing about it is that once you kind of cross that barrier, where you realize that it's okay, and that you can, I got this, basically, it's a lot easier. So I was able to go through basically 4 separate times where they poured water on the stones. The air gets very hot. It's difficult to breathe, but it's just incredible. The amount of sweat that comes out of you and the amount of cleansing. Oh, hey, look, it's the toilets. Yeah, highlight of the trip. But yeah, it's a really just incredible experience, and to be able to overcome your sense of fear and sense of just being confined, and kind of feeling like you want to flip out a little bit, and at the end you feel just like a warrior, getting through it. And I took another shot of the tea, the Huachuma, hey butterfly, San Pedro tea, and I felt really kind of dissociative a little bit throughout the day, like almost like I was floating. It's a lot more, I guess it's less physical, like you're less in your physical body than the ayahuasca, and more kind of a spiritual thing. I guess that's why they identify it with the male as opposed to the female. Male is supposedly more identified with spirit. Female, isn't like material, comes from the word mater, as an alma mater, or like maternal, like mother. So, little interesting tidbit, factoid for you guys. So now I'm going to start talking about the ayahuasca ceremony. And last night I had a really powerful experience. My last few ceremonies were very difficult. My last 4 ayahuasca ceremonies, and also the San Pedro ceremony, was difficult. It was uncomfortable. And what I've been working through is we need to face up to that discomfort. A lot of times, especially in our society, but just in general, like human nature is to avoid discomfort, and that's understandable. But at the same time, you can never really face up to anything and overcome it if you're not able to face your discomfort. And the fire was something that is, I think it's an integral element to these ceremonies here up in the mountains, up in the Andes Mountains, which is really interesting. Just the ability to got distracted by one of my facilitators. Everyone here is really awesome, but I just dropped the video a second because I lost my focus. But the ability to basically, instead of turning away from your fears and your discomfort, you can basically look at the fire and like walk through the fire and be part of it. Not literally, of course, but so let's see, how did the ceremony start? I took the ayahuasca, and I felt this nausea as usual. Usually I have to purge before the ceremony really starts, before the journey starts for me. After I did, I saw a lot of animals. I saw birds, like birds of prey. I saw insects, and there were a bunch of insects crawling, and they were creating these geometric shapes, and I saw fish swimming in water. And what I started to see was, from my past, I saw, when I used to spend time with my grandmother, I felt something I haven't felt in a long time. For a long time I was numb, and then I felt, after my ceremonies, I felt, of course, a lot of anger and just really strong negative feelings, but I felt this really strong sense of love. My grandmother loved me, and I loved her too, and we really had a lot of fun spending time together. It's I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened, but it seems like during certain periods, like late at night, people can change. These rituals, which are passed down from generation to generation, they're so strong that they really just like they can affect you. And I don't think she even was aware. I guess I mentioned that before, but it's possible that she even was possessed. I mean, she changed like so drastically when this happened that she wasn't the same person. But the person I was remembering yesterday was someone who you know, wasn't perfect, of course, but she had a lot of love, and I loved her too, and it was really, really powerful to feel that again, you know. It was really, really meaningful for my, my forgiveness, you know. And as I, you know, I went on and I realized that I've been kind of selfish, you know. I mean, it's understandable, like, you know, everyone's selfish and you kind of have to be, but at the same time, like, as I felt this sadness, I realized I wasn't no longer just sad for myself. I was sad for everybody. Like, there's been a lot of people who've experienced similar types of things as myself, whether it's of a cult, quote-unquote, nature, or whether it's just simply child abuse of any kind, and it's a pervasive problem, you know. And even, you know, if you guys remember, like, the hardest thing, the first thing that I started working through was the fact that I had to hurt those animals, and it was so, the sense of guilt, and it was so difficult for me. But even for the people who victimized me and who are victimizing others, like, I felt sad for them too, because, you know, there's this sickness that's going through our world, and I think especially Western society, European society, has been afflicted with this sickness for a long time. And as I'm getting in touch with these shamanic or these more earth-based, you know, native religions, I'm starting to think that